I came home from the hospital to find my house unrecognizable. The floors were sticky. My office had been gutted, its contents shoved haphazardly into our bedroom like trash swept under a rug. Dirty diapers were piled next to empty takeout boxes. Every glass we owned was scattered around the house. My sanctuary, the place I had built with my husband, was gone. And I wasn't just coming home from a checkup. I was 4 months pregnant. I had been hospitalized for a week after collapsing from severe morning sickness, hitting my head on the way down. My body was weak. My mind fogged with worry for myself, for the baby I was carrying. And somehow, while I was away fighting to stay upright, my husband thought it was the perfect time to move his brother and his brother's entire family into our home, without asking me. No warning, no discussion, no plan. I had barely walked through the door before the tears came. Silent at first, then uncontrollable. Something had cracked open inside me, and all I could do was stand there, shaking, while my husband looked at me like I was the problem. "It's not that bad," he said. I stared at him, numb. "Not that bad." "Fine," I told him. "Then make sure the house is cleaned up before I wake up." I collapsed into sleep, too sick and too drained to argue further. I slept for 4 hours. When I woke, I shuffled into the kitchen to get a drink of water. I opened the cabinet. Nothing. Every single glass was still missing, still strewn across counters, floors, tables. Nothing had been cleaned. So I did what I could, what my body would allow. I moved slowly, picking up dirty dishes one by one, washing them through clenched teeth and silent tears. The next morning, I tried to work. Because yes, on top of everything else, I work from home. But the walls shook with the sound of screaming children. They banged on doors and thudded against walls. Their mother? Locked in the guest room. She stayed in there for hours while her kids ran wild. She didn't care. She didn't come out. And my husband? He came home from work, looked around, and had the audacity to be angry at me. He scolded me for not helping his brother's wife with the kids, told me I was being unwelcoming, that I should have pitched in. Then, in the same breath, complained that nothing had been done around the house. The same house I had asked him to clean. The same house they had trashed. I don't even remember what I said next. I just know I cried again, harder this time. I told him I couldn't do it, that I was too sick for guests, that they needed to leave. He stared at me and said flatly, "They're my family. I'm not kicking them out." That's when I broke. Not like a crack, not like a single tear. I shattered. I picked up my phone and called my mom. I told her everything, every bit of it. I didn't hold back, and I didn't care that my husband was standing right there, his face pale and stunned. I didn't care that he was finally beginning to realize he had pushed too far. I just needed help. 40 minutes later, my mom pulled into the driveway. She wasn't alone. My 3 older brothers were with her, and when they walked in, they didn't say much, at first. Then my mom turned to my husband and said, "Since your family can stay, so can we." She took over instantly. She sent me to bed. My brothers rolled up their sleeves and started cleaning. Loudly, purposefully, making sure everyone in the house heard their disgust. At the filth, at the disrespect, at the total disregard for a pregnant woman recovering from a hospital stay. They didn't hold back. They didn't sugarcoat anything. And my husband? He stood in the hallway, silent, watching. He looked completely lost. Later that evening, I got a text from my mother-in-law. She said I was wrong, that I shouldn't have made my husband clean up, that I had embarrassed her other son, the one whose family was squatting in my house, by having my mom boss him around. I didn't even have the energy to respond. But fate has a funny way of flipping the narrative, because the next day, my Mill showed up at the house, angry and ready for war. She shouted in the driveway. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but her voice was sharp, demanding. Then she walked inside, and everything changed. Her face froze. Her anger dropped. She saw the mess, the reality. She saw the used diapers on the floor, the piles of dishes, the way her son's family had treated our home like a dumpster. And she realized she had been lied to. The tone shifted immediately. She didn't defend her son anymore. She joined my mom. Together, they cleaned, directed, took over. By the end of the day, the house wasn't just clean, it was deep cleaned. My brother-in-law and his kids, gone, now staying at Emil's house. She had no idea they'd been evicted. Apparently, she and her husband had already helped them financially a few months ago. She was furious. My sister-in-law? She locked herself in the bedroom and refused to come out, screamed through the door, but never showed her face until her family came to pick her up. The next day, my husband asked to talk. I agreed. It was a long conversation. 4 hours. Painful. Quiet. Tense. He was remorseful. Not just in words, but in his eyes. He told me the whole story. How his brother was supposed to stay just a few days. How he thought they'd be gone before I got home. How overwhelmed he had been. How scared he was when he found me unconscious on the floor that day. How he thought, for a moment, that I might be dead. He said the fear never left. That he started having nightmares. That he buried it all. And when his brother came to him in need, he said yes without thinking, without asking me. Because it was easier to say yes than to feel helpless again. But in doing so, he said, he dumped all his fear and frustration on me. And that was his mistake. He begged me for another chance. I told him I needed space. He agreed. He's staying at my brother's guest house now. We've started individual therapy and marriage counseling. He asked if he could come with me to doctor appointments and when the home health nurse visits. I said yes. And in the meantime, both moms have stepped up. They've created a meal plan, alternating nights to bring me dinner. They crochet together. They sew baby blankets. The living room is often filled with quiet laughter now. It's peaceful. It's safe. I'm still sick. I still have trouble keeping food down. I've lost 40 pounds, and my doctor is fighting the insurance company to get home IVs approved, but I'm no longer alone. As for my brother-in-law, there's more. His wife admitted to having an affair, told him she married too young, that she never wanted to be a mom, that she doesn't want the responsibility. And now, she's gone. I don't know what will happen to him or the kids. They're young. They still ask for their mom, but she doesn't answer. That breaks my heart. No matter how messy this has been, the children didn't ask for any of it. So, am I the asshole? Was I wrong for calling my mom? For asking for help? For refusing to clean up a disaster I didn't create? Was I wrong to draw a line? Because in that moment, standing in my own home, overwhelmed and abandoned, I chose myself. I chose my baby. I chose to say enough. And maybe that makes me stronger than I thought. Sometimes, the most powerful act of love is refusing to stay silent. This story isn't just about a messy house or a disrespectful in-law. It's about the invisible weight women carry when they're expected to endure, to nurture, to serve, to suffer quietly. But this woman didn't stay quiet. She spoke. She called for help. And when help arrived, in the form of a no-nonsense mom and 3 protective older brothers, she reclaimed her dignity. There's something deeply inspiring about that. Because in American culture, especially for women, there's often this pressure to keep the peace, to be the better person, to not cause drama. But sometimes drama is necessary. Sometimes it's the only language people understand. And here's the twist. Even the MIL came around. Even the husband eventually faced himself. That's the power of truth. It forces people to confront what they've ignored. So, to anyone listening who feels unheard, who feels like their pain is being brushed aside, let this story be your sign. You are not overreacting. You are not selfish for asking for respect. And you are never wrong for asking for help. We all deserve a clean home, a safe space, a partner who chooses us, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. What do you think? Was OP right to call in the cavalry? Was her husband's remorse enough? Let us know in the comments. And if you've ever had to call in your own version of Mom and the Brothers, share your story. We're listening. This is AITA Story Vault. And sometimes, the best way to protect your peace is to bring in the people who've been protecting you all along.